Jewish students on campus have been courageous and resilient, but we shouldn't need to be. American Jewish students on campus deserve better.
Ms. Van Dyne.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses. I know you've already been here for hours, but for taking the time to be here with us today, and it's a shame that we actually have to hold a hearing on this topic at all. Condemning anti-Semitism and the acts of evil committed by Hamas, including the slaughter of women, children, and elderly, should be easy. But sadly, we've seen so many hesitant or outright refuse to do so. And worse, we have seen instances where Hamas's disgusting atrocities are cheered. And those who do so should be ashamed. You refer to them as killers. I would refer to them as savages, as barbarians, as butchers, and as animals. We should be able to say that. I'm thankful to have seen most of my colleagues stand together in our support for Israel in the face of these horrific attacks. But since Hamas began its barbaric assault on Israel on October 7th, we have seen nearly a 400% rise in incidents of anti-Semitism across the U.S. compared to last year, and the majority of those have been on college campuses. And Ms. Dror, I applaud you for being here today. As a fellow Cornellian, I graduated at a time, it was the best 4 years of my life. I loved that university. And it was a liberal university at that point. But never did I ever walk on that quad and not feel safe. I'm embarrassed what's going on that campus today. I cannot believe how much it's changed. And I think to myself, why? Why has it changed in those, I'm not even going to say how many years. You're quite a few years younger than I am. But I think what's happened? You know, they have embraced these diversity and equity and inclusion programs. That has been heralded. But what is really going on in these campuses? What is really being taught at these campuses? And why are we having students who come out and are willing to defend these barbarians, these savages, these horrific acts? How is that possible? This is what they're learning. And then you've got professors like our history professor, Russell Rickford, and you recognize this is why. Because this is what they are teaching on our college campuses today. This is exactly what they're teaching us. To hate. To be exhilarated with these savage acts. To defend people who are beheading children. This is what they're teaching our students. And at the same time, they're getting federal taxpayer dollars to do it. Why are we putting up with that? Why are we allowing that? You know, having a 501c organization and therefore you are expected to abide by these ethical standards that are supposed to promote the public good. When I'm looking at what's happening to you, Ms. Dror, and I'm looking at what's happening to students across the country, where they're being harassed, where they're having to lock themselves in to not be harmed by other students, that's not for the public good. When I am seeing professors that are acting like that and not being immediately fired, that is not for the public good. What year are you?
I'm a junior, but I'm graduating this year.
So you're trying to get out of there as fast as you can.
Oh, yeah.
That's a shame. I mean, that is a shame that you were having to do that. Were you not as surprised as I was when they did not immediately fire Professor Russell Rickford?
Unfortunately, I wasn't really surprised. I mean, there are a lot of competing interests. We've spoken about money from Qatar. Cornell gets $1.8 billion from Qatar. We have a medical school there. There are a lot of competing interests, which I'm excited to have heard people express support to investigate. I've been very disappointed, and I really enjoyed my time at Cornell prior to the October 7th attacks and sitting in my classes realizing that my peers want my family dead.
And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but parents, for a university that I revered so much, parents, don't send your kids to colleges, to universities that are going to teach them this hate. Businesses, don't hire students that promote this kind of behavior. And alumni like me, stop sending your money to institutions that hate and are going to teach students to hate America and everything we stand for, and our partners, our advocates, our strongest allies, like Israel.
There's just one thing I want to say to that. I see, like, the school that I attended a Jewish high school. They have, like, lists, I've heard right now, of schools that you shouldn't be attending because they're, like, high anti-Semitism rates, so it's a high-risk school, so you shouldn't go. You're seeing elite schools on that list. You're seeing Cornell, you're seeing Penn, you're seeing Harvard. But what that's getting to is no Jewish students being able to go to elite universities where they get the opportunity to then go into, I mean, why do you go to an elite university? Because you want to get a good job, because you want to make a good connections. Why are Jewish students not afforded that right if their tuition dollars are the same?
And I'm sorry, my time has expired, but thank you very much for being here today.
Ms. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and let me thank the witnesses for their patience and indulgence. And I just want to say to you, Ms. Talia, don't let anybody steal your joy, girl. You enjoy your last year at Cornell, your parents' money that paid for that education, and it sounds to me like you are a very intelligent, learned person, and you can teach somebody something and be an example. And I do think that we do have laws. I am going to make inquiries about how Title VI, what the enforcement mechanisms are for that. We have, so I'm not trying to be, funny here. I'm just trying to say that I think it's extremely important that we preserve people's right to petition their government, but at the same time, every student everywhere ought to have the right to learn without being intimidated and without being harmed. And that is the promise of America, that you can learn and earn and do it. Girlfriend, do it and hold your head high. You tell them that Gwen Moore told you to do it. I yield back.